I know the general public over a number of months have been asking for information related to, you know, our bills payable. And what we have, which will also, I guess, be put on the website, well, it's been out there, on the check register, so don't look for it on the bills payable. It's a check register that's out there that will show you everything that's been paid. What we have tonight are some current things, but also the list of all of the bills that we were paying for the last 3 years that were overdue. So that's why there has not been a current bills payable, because we've been working on paying the bills that have been overdue, in some cases by as much as 3 years. Okay, so this will, by us approving this bills payable tonight, all this information will be put out on the website for you to see.
And not only that, the village is now only behind 2 months in paying their vendors. Because of the $3.2 million tax anticipation warrant that we received that has since been paid back, that this big packet you see is included in the board packet and will be placed out on the website. So all of the unclarities or the lack of understanding is going to be out there in more detail. It also demonstrates the bank statements at the time of the 3 years that shows just how much money the village did have in the bank at that time to show that we did not have the money, hence supporting the 3-point-some-odd million helping us to come current. The 1.7 million that was awarded in the special meeting is now allowing us to bring our vendors current up to the 2 months, as well as payroll up until our first tax disbursement. The resolution is out on the website. You can see how that TIF is going to be paid back. The money will be extracted directly by the bank out of the tax disbursements to pay it back, which will be the first time in University Park history that it was done properly by resolution and paid back by direct bank extraction. No hands can touch it other than Will County and the bank in which it goes into. So with that being said, the packet that we have now, we're providing the purchase orders not only because the public asked to know what we were paying, but this is our way of asking for approval to actually input them into the system so that we can generate an actual bills payable, then checks can be cut. Not getting the bills payable first and then coming back after the fact.
So did I hear the summit? I'm not sure, it's this list here, bills payable, and then there was another list. I didn't print that out, it was 128 pages with your letter.
That's the packet that we had the meeting on.
Okay.
So you didn't get to have that meeting with us. We sat down, you weren't in attendance, but we had an actual joint finance and board committee meeting, and we went through this 100 and some odd pages, so please don't reprint it. You already have it.
Okay, good. Yeah. So some of that has already been paid?
Yes, yes, you need to get the packet.
Right, so, and I thought so. And so my concern with that is, I've asked on many ones or many board meetings to see what has been paid, and I was told we didn't have the money, we weren't paying bills paid, we weren't paying anything.
We weren't paying anything to be approved. We were paying past debt, things that were previously approved. That's what's inside the packet.
So
It shows you the board had been approving and approving and approving, and we were not paying. So we were taking the 3.2 to pay what the board had already approved. So that's this 100 and some odd pages.
120. So that 128 pages is invoices or debt that have been approved when?
If you pick up your packet, check it out, it goes back to 2014 forward, and we went through every single set of documentation. And the check registry, if you go onto the website, you go over to the actual departments. When you go to scroll down, you'll see finance. Keep going down to village manager. Adjacent to village manager, it says check registry. That's everything that was paid. And this packet will be out, it's going to be out there now that the board has seen it, but you can do apples to apples.
My concern is the fact that I did ask the same thing. And I made the statement, and I said, and I was told by Trustee Payton made the statement that they were still checks, and that's what we're paying. I said, okay, what is the priority of the checks being paid? I didn't get an answer, I didn't get a list. I said, what's the priority of the bills in 2015? Are we paying, are there still, I understand that, we were not receiving bills payable. Any evidence of that, we're paying them. Okay, so what are you paying? What is the priority of the payments, and who are you paying? All right, didn't get that. Then, and now, we're paying bills, which we got this last night, 7:30. I didn't have a chance, and I had my package, and I picked my package up, and I was at that meeting, but I didn't have a chance to really compare this to that. And now I'm trying to understand, we paid that $2.5 million, plus the money that came in from the taxes, plus the 3.2 million. I'm just not comfortable on how we're doing it. What do we pay? Who do we pay? What priority did we pay them in? And if we paid, and now you say we're 2 months, and I do receive the phone calls of the people saying we aren't paying, they're not paying, and lawsuits and threats all the time. It's very nerve-wracking. But I can't tell them anything because I don't see anything. I can't see any accounts. I don't know what you're paying or when you're paying it. So now I'm looking at these, and I know when we're going to stop paying that attorney, Diamond, because I see that's another $10,000. I saw that in the Treasury Report, $10,000. So hopefully this makes some sense, but I'm not.
I'm going to clarify it all. The way we prioritize it is you have 3 years worth of debt. It's all the priority. So they were all paid. If you already approved them over three years.
John, let me stop you right there, please. I understand. I know we did not know when we were approving the bills that they weren't paid. That's real clear, crystal clear. I understand that. But when I said, now that we're paying the bills, they said that we weren't seeing bills payable. Okay? And then they said because we're paying stale bills. And then I said, well, what stale bills are we paying? What's the priority of what we're paying? And I didn't get that. And now I'm getting all of these and saying we're paying all of these now. Are these the stale? What's the priority?
We don't have any more stale here.
No,
we had that joint workshop. We were all clear at that time.
That.
The stuff that you see now is being paid out of that $1.7 million that special meeting allowed us to pay our debts. As far as the tax anticipation warrant, we had no choice but to pay it back because it's automatically taken out just like with this resolution. Everything you see here is looking for approval so that you can see you're going to be paying Attorney Diamond for some time because you all never paid him. I'm surprised that he hasn't sued.
Well, why is he working if he ain't getting paid?
He doesn't work here. That when they changed the attorneys.
That I didn't vote for, so whatever.
Well, when he was the attorney at the time,
$1 million. Yeah, that was ridiculous. But anyway, okay.
the changing of the guards caused him not to be paid. If we change attorneys again tomorrow and we don't pay them, it will just be like Attorney Diamond.
Okay, let's go.
Mayor, I would just like to clarify something, because you said that you didn't know what the priorities were. Maybe that was a meeting that you missed because we specifically addressed what the priorities should be in terms of what should be paid, just like on the road projects. We went through that also and established what the priorities were. And what we said was, we need to pay on a priority basis those things that will keep the village running, such as utilities, that kind of thing, right? Contractual stuff, some essential things that the police department, the fire department, and so forth need to have. That's what we said. And I don't know if you recall that, or maybe it was a meeting that you missed, but we specifically established the priorities because it was asked of us to give the priorities.
I did ask that, but I said I wanted it written. I just wanted to see it specifically, but I've been bounced off.
Well, the blessing is that the new board gets to walk in knowing that they are not walking into 3 years worth of debt.
That's right.
It's been reconciled. They have a day one forward opportunity.
Thank you, Trustee Wilson.
So, I'm looking at one of these invoices for Wellstar. It's from December 2016. We didn't pay that till now.
Let me clarify, we didn't get every single one of them. There are some that we are being contacted by. We paid what we knew was in the office. As people contact us, we're paying them. We didn't get every one. Yeah, I'm getting defensive, not because of you, but because of the efforts that were put forth to bring the village current and to be happy that the new board is walking into a cleaner slate. And the thing is that we're not saying every single thing was paid, but the bulk majority, $3 million worth, was taken care of. There are going to be some stragglers, but it's not going to be $3 million worth.
What legitimizes these bills that have not been paid?
What legitimizes them that the board previously approved them
But
over
is
the
it,
course of time.
but you had, the minutes, or I mean, the board did not approve any minutes tonight. So how do we
I'm sorry?
know who was the vendors, who was the contractor personnel? I mean, what's going on here?
Well, just go out on her website. I've already explained it.
Well, I go on the website and I have yet to see anything.
Check registry. It's been out there for months.
Okay.
So check your check registry.
Don't get that.
And feel free to come by and see me.
No, I will
Because
be
he's
back.
obviously, he's
I need
obviously
place for
frustrated,
documentation.
and he deserves an answer.
Just a second, I think she's answering. She's answering.
He's gonna come and see me.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm gonna come
Okay.
see you.
Now,
What's your hours?
These bills were previously approved by previous boards.
That's
Okay?
not the,
We did not have the money to pay the bills, so they sat in the vault. So, since that now has been established, we have been paying it off using the tax anticipation form.
This a motion on the floor? Roll call.
yes.
Trustee Larry Brown?
Both sides.
Trustee Wilson?
Opposed, no.
Trustee Payton?
Aye.
Trustee Griffin?
Just pay the bill?
Yeah.
I vote aye.
Trustee Ruda?
Vote aye to pay the bills.
Trustee Oscar? Trustee Oscar Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Hubbard?
No. Reports?
IRH is going to give their financial report.
Sorry?
IRH, said reports.
Okay.
Good evening to each of you, Mayor Covington and the official board. No. Good evening to each of you again.
Excuse me, can we have order? Make the report, please. Thank you.
We're just about 99.9% finished with our audit. There was some documentation today that came in on the 9th hour that we will have ready and turned in to the village manager on Thursday. So you will have a complete documentation of the reconciliation process from IRH on Thursdays. But today I'm going to share with you our discoveries thus far, which again, we're about 99.9%. We were missing 2 pages on one of the major reconciliations, shift reconciliations that we were auditing. And so therefore, we want to include that in our final packet, which will be given to the village manager on Thursday, along with your bank statements and a copy of this report. So on February 10th, IRH Developments, operating within the conformity and standards of the municipal auditing practices when preparing for annual audits, entered into an agreement with the Village of University Park to reconcile all bank accounts established and associated with and by University Park from May the 1st, 2014 and ending April 30th, 2016. Upon entering into said agreement, IRH solicited and contracted with accounting personnel, municipal financial experts, and a forensic accountant who reconciled and reviewed over 80 bank accounts, of which 74 were verified to be actual open accounts during the period specified in the agreement defined above. In our efforts to provide exceptional service, we reconciled the accounts through December the 31st, 2016. providing the village with 8 months of reconciliation so that the community's concerns regarding the financial viability of the village are properly addressed and that the information provided is current. This reconciliation process was coordinated with Jonna Townsend, acting village manager, Jasilia Kelly, finance staff, Daryl Bolton, IT manager, and various banking institutions. IRH Development requested financial records, including bank statements, copies of processed checks, check registers, the chart of accounts, TIF agreements, and various other supporting documents that provide accurate documentation that confirms the results of this reconciliation. We have identified each bank and the various accounts owned by the village with balances as of December 31st, 2016. Our report shall provide information on each bank account and recommendations to better manage financial resources and provide recommended financial policies to follow. We've listed in the following pages all of the banks from Old Blank Trail Community Bank, with our recommendations being to combine all bank accounts to no more than 6 accounts: general fund, payroll, town center, hazmat, GC operations, and special purpose. The deposits for the special purpose accounts could be for all the remaining accounts. The accounts which is combined into special purpose should be maintained with an account number which identifies the fund. For example, revenues received for the relief account could have an account number of 4520. The scholarship fund would be 4530, justice 4540, etc. The general fund account should transfer monies to the payroll account to cover all payroll and related expense. At the end of the month, that balance should be 0. If the town center is a TIF account, the fund should be in separate account or an account with other TIF funds. Any wire transfers or checks written should have a clear explanation on how the expense is related to the TIF and ensure that the expense is a TIF eligible expense. Then we have U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank, there were 18 U.S. Bank accounts reconciled for the period of May 2014 through January 2016. February 2016. It appears that all of the accounts were closed in January with the exception of a few. There were no closing statements provided for many of the accounts. 17 of the 18 monies were transferred to the Illinois Fund. One account, ePay clearing account, was transferred to Illinois National Bank. It is not clear why monies were transferred to Illinois Fund. These accounts are maintained by wire transfers in and transfers out only. The U.S. Bank has all of the banking functions for those accounts. Recommendations. There were 17 bank accounts transferred to Illinois Fund in February 2016 from U.S. Bank. It is not clear why monies were transferred from a bank with full checking account services to a bank with only wire transfer abilities. Transferring all the accounts except, transferring all the accounts except the TIF accounts to one general fund account will provide the village with much more flexibility when processing expenses. The TIF accounts could remain in Illinois Fund for a higher interest rate, and monies could be transferred for expenses to one of the appropriate TIF accounts when needed. And then we list those all. There were 24 bank accounts reconciled for the period beginning May 2016 through December 2016. It is not clear why the accounts were open and why the accounts with balances of $1 remain open. The monies in the TIF accounts are from tax deposits from the state. Monies from the Illinois Fund can be transferred to Midland Bank when necessary to pay for approved allowable expenses. All of the accounts can be transferred to the general fund and maintained by the general ledger accounts. For example, revenues received for the Young Broadcasters account could have an account number 4550, Scholarship Fund 4530, Justice Fund 4540, etc. It is recommended that only one bank outside of Illinois Fund be maintained by the village. It is also not clear the purpose of the employer's expense tax account. All related payroll expenses should be paid from the zero balance payroll account. The village should only maintain one payroll account. There were payroll transactions in numerous accounts during the reconciliation period. However, no payroll records were provided, therefore it is not clear as to who was paid from the account from Midland Bank and who was paid from the bank account at Old Plank Trail Bank. And then we have Illinois National Bank. There's one account there, which is the e-pay clearing account. The recommendation is to consolidate this account with the funds in the e-pay clearing account at Old Plank Bank. In conclusion, our research and reconciliations indicate that there is no supporting documentation or evidence that warrants the village's need to have 74 bank accounts. The reconciliation indicates that there were an innumerable amount of missing and incomplete documents, included but not limited to bank statements, copies of checks, reported and voided, many of which were not obtained until as late as the last week in March. We had some very challenging times getting all of the information, not only through the village because there was things that were kept in such disarray, but through the banks as well, okay? We also learned that there were no monthly reports, no reports or records of wire transfers indicating deposits, withdrawals, and wire transfers. Therefore, these items had to be created manually. We also discovered stale, unprocessed checks that were held and presented for payment as late as a year after issuance. The review of all the village bank accounts, the indiscriminate number of accounts, the large number of voided checks, the failure to reconcile bank accounts for many years, duplicate payroll accounts, multiple payments made to unidentifiable persons in a short period of time, improper financial controls and reporting, coupled with the lack of coherent financial guidelines, policies, and staff training have led to the breakdown and lack of financial propriety within the finance department. The review also noted an excessive number of wire transfers in a 2-year period of time from TIF accounts to various accounts without supporting documentation or reasonable explanation. When I reviewed the documents today, there are over 37 wire transfers in a 2-year period of time. Over $14 million has been transferred into the general account or the payroll account in the last 2 years.
Where that money come from?
From the TIF. In addition, it appears that the TIF funds, motor fuel funds, and other funds designated for special use were used to supplement payroll and other miscellaneous accounts. The eligible use of TIF funds are outlined in the Illinois Tax Increment Allocation Redevelopment Act 65 ILCS. The use of TIF funds are monitored by the Illinois Comptroller's Office through the filing of required annual reports by municipal governments. If TIF funds were used for the purpose not specified by the Act, then we recommend that the village replace these funds in a planned and timely manner. It is our recommendation that after the audit is concluded, a plan of action be put in place immediately for repayment of all improperly expensed funds. Given the external investigations being conducted by federal and state examiners and the reconciliations concluded by our IRH developments, it is our recommendation that a forensic audit be conducted immediately to identify the inconsistencies and questionable activities in ledgers, bank accounts, and reports. We also recommend that all TIF agreements must be examined to assure that they comply with TIF statutes and that a payment plan can be put in place for funds owed to TIF, from the TIF to various entities. A forensic audit will help identify and rectify these practices that have led to the financial difficulties and challenges that the village of University Park has been plagued with for an extended number of years. This didn't just happen. We believe that a forensic audit, along with the implementation of proper policies and procedures, will help to transition this community for the better, as well as reestablish the confidence in the mayor, the manager, and official board's ability to manage its financial obligations as required by state law. In our office, we brought in several accountants that we consulted with to pull this information, along with account specialists, and then we had a forensic auditor that came in to review our final documentation. And they're of the same opinion. And that's our report for today.